Hi, everyone. Hello, hello.
What's up, y'all?
We see some chats rolling in, and we're so excited to be back with you for another live virtual happy hour with the Afro-Vegan Society team. Oh, there we go. All right, a little tech flub, but we're good. We got 11 people watching so far tonight. So if you are watching with us live, whether you're on Facebook or YouTube, let us know what part of the country or the world you're tuning in from so we can do some shout outs during our virtual happy hour today. So it's the end of October. That means Halloween is right around the corner. It's also National Seafood Month. So we thought we would mix it up, bring in some seasonal goodies, some spooky goodies. So that's the theme of today's virtual happy hour. Pacific time. What do you mean? It's currently 6 o'clock Eastern time. So let us know where you're at on the time zone too if you want to, and it's great too because we're also going to be going live again really soon because the National Afro-Vegan Virtual Summit is coming up on November 11th on Saturday. So we've been sending out emails, but if you go to our website and you haven't registered already, you're going to want to register because we have an amazing lineup with even more amazing panels, talks, interactive sessions, cooking demos, and more. So register because we're going again live again in 2 weeks with another virtual happy hour plus a little trivia, some prizes, all types of good stuff. So I think that's enough said. Hey Ray, hey Jasmine, how y'all doing tonight?
What is up? Listen, it'll be end of the year before we know it. What is going on?
It's crazy. It really is.
It's a blessing to be in it, but shoo, yes. As if we didn't think we were sitting down enough these last 2 years of some change. It's like, golly, every time you turn around, you're into another month, another season.
Yeah, seriously. And doesn't daylight savings end next weekend?
I kind of needed to do it. I think it's next weekend, but I needed to do it earlier because it seems like, at least this year, it seems like it needs to be in October because it's already prepared itself. It's already gotten darker earlier. I'm like, I need the time to change because I'm losing my mind. It's like dark when you wake up and it's dark when you some kind of light.
Yes, so true. I see some comments. Is everybody's connection okay? Tell us if we're coming through clear. Ray and Jasmine, y'all can chat it up for a second. I'm going to plug in my internet cord so we can get a stronger connection going here. But yeah.
Yeah, Ray, I was actually just looking at this. First of all, like we're watching YouTube and different videos pop up. So somewhere in the world, I forget where it is, we get like 6 months of darkness. Like there's no light at all.
Right.
Oh my goodness. Have y'all heard about that?
I can't imagine. Yeah. And it's like the light, I need the sun, your internal clock can get used to being set like that.
Yeah. A lot of people deal with like seasonal depression, like when this time of year comes, it's dark, it's no longer sunny out. So
yeah. Outside of like, obviously, you do, it's kind of like an exchange, really. I like to think about it because, it's a give and take because it is getting darker out, it's getting colder out, but then we have the beauty of the fall with the leaves changing. And then, we have like snow in most places. So you get to see the beauty of the icicles and all the trees with the snow on them. So it's kind of like a little bit of an exchange, being as though we have to accept it. I'm like, oh, great. You know what I mean? But, with depending on when it's too cold or whatever. So I kind of like to look at it that way. Like, all right, we're losing daylight, but we are gaining some beauty that we won't catch during the other season. Right?
That's totally true. I think the nice thing about the changing of seasons that kind of helps me have a good perspective too is like, well, I love food, right? So different things are in season. So like all the squashes and potatoes, the really hardy greens and stuff are in season. And of course, holiday season. So all that good holiday food is going to start making its round. So, I mean, I feel like they kind of structure that on purpose. I don't know how the society works, but like make sure there's lots of holidays with lots of really good food when it's cold and dark so people can keep their spirits up,
Right. And you get to save money because you're not out as much. So, even though you have your holiday season, it's kind of like for those couple months when you're adjusting, you're not hanging out as much. I want to go to the mall, like, oh, it's dark, I want to go home and go to sleep. So you're kind of in the house, not spending too much money.
Yeah. Well, we have so many people in the chat shouting out where they're watching from. We got Miss Data tuning in from Michigan. We've got Veggie B in Chicago. We've got Nola Nay tuning in from San Antonio. And we have Lisa Logical tuning in from Baltimore and Linda from Southern California. So we have so many people. We're representing all time zones, all coasts right now. So we're so glad you're with us. And yeah, I think now is the perfect time for us to tell what we're going to be making today, and then we can hop right into the first round of demos. So I'm going to be making a pumpkin spice hot cocoa, and I'm going to show you how to make your own instant cocoa mix at home. It's really simple. So that's the beverage I'm making. If you like your spiked, you can spike it with what would be good to spike hot cocoa with, right? Kahlua.
So
I don't know.
there's a vegan Baileys that I really like to use. You can use that, or if you like the darks, you can put maybe like a whiskey in there. I wouldn't opt for a Scotch or vodka or anything like that. You want something that's going to give you like a rich flavor or that creamy flavor, like the vegan Baileys that can add to it. And they do have. I saw they had a peppermint. I'm not sure. I think it's vegan too. But looking into that. But if not, you can always do the vegan Baileys, and I love it. It is so delicious and great.
That sounds delicious. I won't keep it simple tonight, but you have options if you like to spike your cocoa or anything else sweet and creamy. And then for my seafood inspired dish, I'm going to be making some tofu sticks, crispy tofu sticks. I'm going to show you how to make tofu to make a very simple, tasty, crispy fish stick.
And for my drink, okay, it's the fall, so I have my take on an apple cider Long Island. And honey, it is delicious, okay? I gave my fiance a taste test and he was like, so I know it's good. And then I'm just going to keep it simple with a treat. I'm going to show you how to do vegan Rice Krispies. You'll be so surprised how simple it is.
Yes, that sounds delicious. So for me, I'm one of the pumpkin people. I haven't always been a pumpkin person, but as I've gotten older, I've created an appreciation for pumpkin, everything pumpkin. So everything I'm doing tonight is pumpkin flavored. So for my drink, I'm doing a pumpkin spice limeade. And then for my dish, I'm doing a stuffed pumpkin. If you don't like pumpkin, I have a stuffed pepper.
That sounds super delicious. So we have a few more people who have chimed in where they're watching from. Katie Smith is watching from Atlanta on Facebook, and Chanel's also watching on Facebook from Seattle. And then we've got Rita Drake tuning in from Atlanta, Georgia, and Natural Girl 215 in Charlotte, North Carolina. I would have guessed you were in Philly based off the 215, but you're in Charlotte. And yeah, we have all of you tuning in. So we're so glad. If you're liking this so far, give it a like on Facebook, give it a like on YouTube, subscribe, follow us so you can be engaged in all the amazing other content we have. But without further ado, we're going to give the floor to Jasmin so she can show you how to make her delicious drink.
All right. So hello again, guys. So starting off with this drink, I'm going to be doing my pumpkin spice limeade. And I just love pumpkin for the season because before I even start, comment if pumpkin is a fruit or vegetable. I know people always get confused, but let me know what y'all think. So anyway, pumpkin is such a great fruit or vegetable for the season because it is full of vitamin C and vitamin A. And as the seasons are changing, you want to make sure that you're, supporting your immune system. So why not give it some great things? So let's jump right into my drink. So I just have some pumpkin puree. Of course, if you have, a pumpkin, go ahead, chop that up and just use the pumpkin cubes. But I just have 1 can of pumpkin puree. I have some lime juice. Yes, Lita, it's a fruit. So I always thought it was a vegetable because, it grows on the ground. But, I just recently realized that it's a fruit because it has seeds. I just have some maple syrup, some cane sugar, and some pumpkin spice. Now, if you don't have pumpkin spice, this is just literally cinnamon, allspice, nutmeg, ginger, and cloves. So you can easily put that together with whatever you have in your cabinet. But yeah, so I'm gonna just go ahead and start off with my simple syrup. So on the stove, I'm just gonna go ahead and turn that on. I'm gonna be adding 2 tablespoons of cane sugar. I'm just eyeballing it. I'm gonna add 1 tablespoon of my maple syrup. I'm gonna go ahead and add a heaping teaspoon of pumpkin spice. I'm gonna go ahead and give that a little whisk. This is what it's looking like so far. And I'm gonna go ahead and add in 1 cup of water. And that's it. I'm just going to let that cook down, and then once it comes to a boil, I will know that it's done. So while waiting for that to come to a boil, I'm gonna go ahead and do my little pumpkin juice puree. So we'll go ahead and open this can up. And again, when I was thinking about this recipe, I'm like, oh, pumpkin limeade, that sounds weird, but after I tasted it, I was like, wow, it actually tastes good because pumpkin, it doesn't have like a strong taste to it. It's very light, has nice sweetness to it. I'm making, for my drink, I'm making a pumpkin spice limeade, and then for my food, I'm making stuffed pumpkins. So this is what it's looking like. So I'm just gonna go ahead and pop that right into my blender. But yeah, so as I was saying, it's a very light sweetness because pumpkin is a little sweet. So it was like a perfect mixture, and I was surprised. Because, you know, when you think pumpkin, you think of like the holidays, pumpkin pie, and it's like, why do I want to drink pumpkin pie? But it was actually delicious. So again, I'm just adding in 1 can of pumpkin puree, and I'm gonna be adding in 4 cups of water. I'm gonna blend that, and then I'll be using my nut milk bag to strain it out. I'm gonna make sure I'm measuring everything. One. So I say it's a limeade, but it tastes sort of like a cider. So if you had apple cider, it's giving you those type of vibes, but in a pumpkin flavor. Get a little loud. You don't have to blend for too long because it's already pureed, but if you were using like whole pumpkins, you know, you would blend a little bit longer until you get a nice even consistency. So I'm just having my bowl here. I'm gonna take my nut milk bag, and it's been through some things because I have been using it. I use it for everything, to make homemade nut milk, to make my juice blends because I don't have a juicer, and it works well. So all I'm doing is pouring my mixture into my nut milk bag. Bring it over here so you guys can see a little bit what I'm doing. So I'm just squeezing it with my hands. If you have a juicer, it will be much easier, but if you work with limited items, the nutmeg back work just fine. So you just make sure you're squeezing all the juices out. And what you can do with the pulp, if you have compost, you can use it for that. You can also just use the pulp and put it in like baked goods, or you can use the pulp and put it in your plants around your house after you dry it out a little bit. So you can really get creative, or you could freeze it and put it into smoothies later on. There's so much you can do with the pulp afterwards. I don't really like the taste of the pulp because it loses all the sweetness, because all the sweetness is being extracted into the juice, but don't want to waste any extra. You just want to go ahead and make sure you squeeze it enough to get all the juices out. I think that's good enough. All right, so then after we have squeezed everything out, this is what we're left with. So this is the pulp that we're talking about. As you can see, we got a lot of the juices out. Okay, so this is what the juice is looking like. This is just pumpkin puree and water right now. So I'm gonna go ahead and add in my 4th cup of lime juice. Just add that right on in. And I'm gonna check on my simple syrup. And it's bubbling like you want to. Go ahead and turn it off the heat. Ideally, you want it to cool first before you add it in, but for the sake of the video, I'm just gonna go ahead and add that right into my mixture. All right, I'm gonna give it a nice stir around. And this is what it's looking like. It has a nice dark, this one looks like a cider type color. I'm gonna go ahead and grab my cup. For the season, I have my pumpkin cup with little googly eyes. I'm gonna go ahead and add that to my cup. And to help it get a little bit colder, I'm gonna go ahead and add a couple of ice cubes. So I just made I had this little silicone lemon juice ice mold. I just put the same sugar mixture and made it into like ice cubes. So I'm gonna just pop a couple of those in there. This is what they look like. And I also have a block one I can also use. Go ahead and pop that right in. That'll help cool it down. And that's it. Very simple. So I'm gonna go ahead and give that a taste. That's good. I would like to chill it first and just have it, nice and flat, more cooler. But it's delicious.
Now, Jasmin, I'm me and lime like this. I like pumpkin. Don't get me wrong. Me and lime, I put that in so much stuff. So I'm gonna give this a try. Like I'm curious. When you said it at first, I was like, I don't know, sis. Right. But I'm gonna give this a try.
Right. That's how I felt. Also, I was like, I'm not sure if this recipe is gonna work because pumpkin. But surprisingly, it was delicious because pumpkin it's not really a strong flavor to it. It's very light, settled. So we're well together.
Yeah, I'm gonna try that for sure.
So Jasmin, some people are just joining. Can you say again what the name of the beverage you just made was?
Yep, so it's just a pumpkin spice limeade, and in it I had pureed pumpkin, and I mixed the pureed pumpkin with 4 cups of spring water, and then on my stove I made a simple syrup with 2 tablespoons of cane sugar, 1 tablespoon of maple syrup, a heaping teaspoon of pumpkin spice, and I brought that to a boil, and I mixed everything together with a 4 cup of lime juice. That was it. Very simple.
That sounds honestly really good to me. When you were explaining the flavors, I think it makes sense too because pumpkin kind of reminds me of sweet potato, but it has like a cucumbery note to it. And so cucumber and lime kind of go together. And so
Yeah.
I can see that. And even when you were saying it was warm, like I love warm apple cider. So like this spice with a slight tang, it's warm. It could be probably good cold or chilled. I mean chilled or warm. So
right, because lime brings that like sort of fermented flavor to it. Plus it makes it taste like more like a cider. So.
Yeah. Yeah, we've got some people in the comments wanting to know about the apron. So we only have a few. We just got them made for the team, but we can definitely look at trying to get some produced somehow for sale for folks moving into 2023. So we're glad you like them. It looks really great, Jasmine. Yeah. Yeah, so that's cool. All right, that's delicious. Ray, are you ready to share your drink with us?
You know it. Let's get it.
All right, here we go.
All right, y'all. So like I said, we're going to do a apple cider Long Island. Now, if you do partake in the spirits, you know, I'm sure you've heard of different flavors like tropical and apple and things like that. You might not have heard of apple cider before, and you're like, I guess the two could work. I'm going to make it work, and I'm going to show you how to do it. Now, with me, if this is not your first one, you know that I like to take a mix and put my own type of spin on my cocktails. That's why I consider them my cocktails. But because I love y'all, I have no problem sharing them with you. I love to share joy in the world. And if spirits are attached while you're spreading joy and you're taking a sip and you're spreading joy and you're taking a sip, then so be it. Okay. You can even claim it as your own. Now, if you know what's in a Long Island, you know, it's typically your vodka, gin, rum, tequila, and your triple sec. And if you want to top it off with, you know, your Coke or anything like that. Some people have done it with just like, if they want to put a bourbon, again, different variations that exist. So what I did was take some of the bases, like the standards, and then I X'd out some things for certain reasons. So I'll take you through, walk with me. I'll take you through as I go through it. So for my vodkas, I decided to do 2. Not because I want you to pass out on the street, because I wanted to take out the gin. Gin has, you know, it, depending on which one, it can smell like rubbing alcohol and it can taste like it too. So I didn't want that strong undertone because we're doing apple cider. You know, we want that sweetness to come through. So I left out the gin. And for my vodkas, I selected caramel. So we got the caramel with the apple cider. And then also ginger. Now walk with me with this because you're probably like, ginger with that apple in a Long Island. But if you try this, I promise you, you will not be disappointed. All right. So, and then don't forget, we're going to have all these recipes on our website. Okay. So you can take these, try it out, and feel free to tag us and let us know how they work. So for my caramel, because I definitely want the caramel taste to come through, I am putting in 1.5 ounces. Typically with your Long Islands, you do that because it's so many liquors, you do about 1 ounce of each. I'm doing 1.5 ounces. One, because remember I said I am omitting the gin, but also because I really want that caramel flavor to come through. And because it's caramel vodka, it should have like a sweet tang to it. So it shouldn't have like anything strong to overpower the drink. Now for my ginger, because I just want a light hint of ginger, I'm just going to do 1/2 ounce. Now, typically when I make my drinks, I eyeball, but you know, I try to do them by the books when I'm on here because I don't want it to be responsible for anybody laid out. Okay. So I'm just going to do them by the books the safe way. And you can always omit or add as you see fit. All right, so for my tequila, I've got a Blanco, mild flavor. If you choose to do a different type of a tequila, like an añejo or something like that, just remember that it's going to be sweet. So for my next ingredient, you might want to scale it back. So again, this is Blanco, so it doesn't have like all the extra added agave or anything in there like that. So I added 1 of that. Now I'm using a dark rum. Okay, if you're doing Long Island, traditionally people will use like a white rum, but I'm using the dark again because I want the flavors to get in there that are rich. They're gonna go with the apple. If you choose to use like an añejo or something like that, then I would say just go for a white rum because you don't want it to be too sweet. Okay, but I like Appleton because of its richness. So I'm putting an ounce of that. And I'm going to put 1 ounce of the triple stack. And I promise you, it's just going to blend in very well. It's going to give you that light citrus note, but you know, that citrus is going to go very well with the apple. I promise. I promise. All right, so we got all of our liquors. Seems like it was quite a lot. But now we're going to put in our apple cider. And this drink is going to give you roughly, depending on what size glass and how much ice you put in, it could give you 2, or it can give you like I had a hard week or I had a hard life type of thing. So you can just do 1 and just drink it all to yourself, but whatever. It's up to you. I'm not judging. I'm not in your kitchen. That's your business. All right, I'm going to give this a nice little shake because it's been sitting for a bit. And for this, we're just going to put in 8 ounces. All right. We're going to pour that in. Now, I'm the kind that I don't like too much ice in my drinks. I don't like them too cold. I kind of like room temperature or just like lukewarm. But if you do like yours ice cold, you can mix a good amount of ice in here and then pour it out into a glass with ice. It's up to you. I'm just going to put just a few small little cubies in here while I shake it. Just a few small little cubies, okay? Not too much. And I'm going to give it that shake because I want everything to get mixed up in here together. Now, I'm going to tell you a gangster move right here. Cinnamon sticks. You can put it in the drink and make it all pretty and stuff, you know, and cute. But if you really are a fan of cinnamon, you can take a hack and you can just put it inside while you're shaking. All right. Get these flavors going, get these flavors going, get these flavors going. All right. I'm going to put a little bit of ice here. I'm going to use this. We're taking fall. We're going to get our little mason jars here and on the action. And again, just a few little cubies for me. Just a few little cubies, okay? And again, if you want, you can put your cinnamon stick inside as well as when you're shaking, or you can completely omit it. It is up to you. It just depends on how much you like ginger. I mean, it's holidays. If you want to throw just a dash of nutmeg in there, you can. It's up to you. Oh, shoot. All right, so we're going to go ahead and pour this in. Oh, and it smells delicious. So like I said, I mean, if you had a hard day or a hard week or a hard life, you can drink this whole thing. But there's one more thing. We're not quite done. We got apple cider, right? Take it back to the roots, to the base. I put some on myself. You would think I had started drinking already. All right, so this is an apple. And this is one of my favorite best friends. It's a core. Now I have different sizes depending on what I'm going for. So this one is like larger. This one is smaller. And I like these just to do the slices. Like if you don't want to have the skin, or some people aren't fans of skins with their fruits, take these and put it. I use it on apples. I also use it on my pears. It just helps. It just helps. And it's really simple to use. You just put it on there. Make sure you have the top going through the hole. Just got to apply a little bit of pressure. Just a little bit of pressure. And then you we got a hard-headed apple. This apple does not want to be sliced today. Usually it's easy unless you get the core and the core is acting a little funky. And And that appears to be what this apple is doing. Now, earlier, this worked just fine. All right, let me try and take this to the side real quick and be a little hard. There we go. Just didn't want to do that on the stove. Put a little bit of force into it. All right, so check that out. We got small little wedges. Take that. And you can just line the rim with that apple flavor. So if you're drinking from the glass, you get that apple in there. And then put it in there. Cheers. I really want y'all to let me know how this works out for you, all right?
Okay, right?
That looks good. I'm a very sporadic drinker, but I like hard ciders, like like apple cider, hard apple cider, or pear cider, especially this time of year. And them Long Island sleep up on you, so I'm sure that's
No,
a dangerous combo.
it's really delicious, and you get the apple, you get the fruit. You can always do different types of apples. And again, you can put some cinnamon, put some nutmeg, just gear it towards whatever you like. It's holiday season. You want to get a couple like deep, rich flavors on your palate. So yeah, that's a good look.
Yeah. I love sweet drinks. I don't drink much, but like when I do, I love sweet drinks. Like I don't want to take the alcohol with the sweetness.
Right.
I'm the same way. I like it to taste like juice. So
right.
That's got the juice in there. It's good to
That would be good as a slushy as well, right?
Yep. Absolutely.
Definitely. So we had a couple questions, and you said it during your drink demo, but someone wanted to know, will we be sharing the recipes? Yes, we will. There will be an email going out with a link to all the recipes that are shared in this demo next week. So keep an eye on your email so you can have everything from us to know how to make everything we prepared tonight. And with that said, I'm going to go ahead and take over and show you how to make a very interesting, simple, instant hot cocoa mix that's vegan, and spice it up with a little pumpkin pie spice. So let's get to it.
Yummy.
Yes. So I love hot cocoa mix. That's one thing that around holiday time I really missed after I went vegan, because we would always have hot cocoa mix on hand. And I kind of had an epiphany today about putting together hot cocoa mix at home, just so you can have it on deck, so you can just add hot water and get to it. So you just really need 3 ingredients to put together the hot cocoa mix. The first one I have here, this is 6 tablespoons of organic cacao powder. You can obviously up the volume of this, but I'm just testing this blend today, so you will be the first to see how successful it is. But we've got 6 tablespoons of that. We've also got coconut sugar. Coconut sugar is just my sweetener of choice. Brown sugar would be delicious in this. Some raw cane sugar. You just want to make sure there's no bone char or anything in the sweeteners that you use to ensure that it's vegan. But I love coconut sugar because it adds like a toasty, slightly toasty flavor to whatever I'm cooking. So it's one of my favorites. You could alternately turn this into like a hot cocoa syrup that you store in the fridge by adding agave nectar or something like that. But we want to make this shelf stable, so we're going with our granulated coconut sugar today. And then the third ingredient is something that I kind of discovered while shopping on like online grocery delivery places like Thrive Market and Mrs. Market and stuff like that. And this is coconut milk powder. So you want to make sure that it's dairy free, because oftentimes when I would go to like international markets, like Asia markets, and see coconut milk powder, it would have dairy in it. It's unexpected. So you definitely want to make sure that you buy one. This is the Native Forest brand. I got a little bit of glare, but this is what the packaging looks like. So these are the 3 main ingredients that you need. So like I said, I have 6 tablespoons of organic cacao powder here. And then I'm just going to go in with 4 tablespoons of coconut sugar to get started. Coconut sugar is also nice because it's less sweet than like cane sugar. So it has a lower glycemic index, but the sugar, actual like sugar content in the coconut sugar is lower. So it's a more subtle sweetness. And it also has like a deepness, like almost a molassesy hint of flavor, similar to like brown sugar, obviously. So it's really dynamic. So I think that was 3. So this is 4 tablespoons of our coconut sugar. Okay. And then we're going to go in with 4 tablespoons of this non-dairy coconut milk powder. All right. And it's kind of chunky here. It comes like very well vacuum sealed in the bag. So that's something to be mindful of, but we're going to mix this up really well. And I already have my hot water kettle running. Let me turn that on now so the water is nice and boiling hot once everything is mixed together. I kind of lost count. So let's say this is 4 tablespoons now. Okay. And we're just going to use our little whisk here to mix everything together. Break up the chunks from the coconut powder. Make sure the sugar, the cacao powder, and the coconut milk powder are all well combined. And this is almost like a dark chocolate. Usually when you get instant cocoa mixes, they're really light. So the chocolate flavor is going to be quite pronounced in this. And I'm just using water today because it's simple to use boiled water. But if you want to make it even more creamy, you can heat up some plant milk or have hot water and then add a couple splashes of your preferred plant milk, like oat milk or something like that, when you're actually making your cup of hot cocoa. So here we have our instant hot cocoa mix. So let's make a little space now. Put everything over here. So to make 1 cup of this, I'm going to go in with about 1.5 tablespoons of the instant cocoa mix. And then to make it extra festive, I'm going to go in with a few shakes of pumpkin pie spice mix. So Jasmine also used this, but just to reiterate, this one has cinnamon, ginger, cloves, and nutmeg in it. So it's just a blend of those warm spices that you find in pumpkin pie. I use this in my sweet potato pie, my candied yams, all those good things. So got that in there. Give it another little mix. Okay. And then we have our hot water here. So I'm just going to not fully fill it up yet. I'm going to pour it about 1/3 of the way. And then I have one of those little frothers. I got this from like IKEA for $3 or something. So why not use it? Just going to froth this a little bit to get it well mixed. And this is an important step too, because something that is mentioned on this coconut milk powder, even if say you just want to make like your own container of coconut milk to sit in your fridge, this needs to be mixed with hot water to like melt down the coconut solids. You know, coconut is really high in fat. So it does need to be mixed with hot water to break everything down and mix up in a nice frothy consistency. So this is perfect for making hot cocoa mix with. So just gonna let this froth a few more seconds. Nice and mixed, no lumps. All right, and then we're just gonna finish filling up our cup here. Okay, so we've got our hot cocoa, instant hot cocoa mix of cocoa powder and our coconut milk powder and also our coconut sugar. And then I added a few dashes of pumpkin pie spice. So let me do a quick sip of this to see if it needs any adjustments. Okay, I think the flavors are good, but the sweetness is on that is super subtle. So I'm going to go in with another 2 tablespoons of coconut sugar into my dry mix. Oops, that's the milk. I like the creaminess and the richness though. The coconut milk powder is at the right level. It just needs to be a little bit sweeter. But like I said, if you're using like brown sugar or cane sugar, it'll be sweeter. So you may not need as much sugar. But the coconut sugar is definitely much more subtle in sweetness. So we're going to go in with 3 tablespoons of that just to get it nice and mixed up. Okay, so our dry mix is looking good now. I think we have a good sugar to cocoa to plant milk ratio here. So this is our instant mix. And then I'm going to go in with about 2 2 teaspoons of coconut sugar straight into the mug, just to sweeten that up just a little bit more. Now, this is obviously not going to be as sweet as instant cocoa, so if you like it as sweet as it is coming out of the packet, feel free to use more, but I like to enjoy the sweetness, but in moderation. So give this one more sip. Ah, perfect. Cheers. Here we have a delicious pumpkin spice hot cocoa made from DIY instant cocoa mix. So
I love that. And I love the fact that you use cacao powder because it's just an upgrade from the regular, we're not going to mention any names, but the regular store-bought cocoa powder, like it's full of antioxidants and for your cardiovascular health and your cholesterol. So it's just like you got a sweet treat, but it's also like you're doing numbers for your health. So
yeah, absolutely.
I agree. Yes. And thank you for blessing us with the nutrition facts, because I mean, we know it's better. Like sometimes you hear the information once and you just adjust your behaviors, but it's always great to have that like hard facts information to go forward with as you're making your decisions as a consumer, for sure.
Absolutely.
All right. So we've had some delicious drinks that we've shared. So now it's time to get into the main ingredients of the main appetizers or dishes we're making today. So Jasmin, are you ready to take it away?
I am.
All right, here we go.
Good. Okay, guys. So once again, I'm making stuffed pumpkin and stuffed pepper for the people that don't like pumpkin. And then also, since it's National Seafood Month, my sister picked up some mini crabless crab cakes. So I'll be trying these for the first time. So I'm just gonna be popping them into the oven and making feel like an Old Bay cooking sauce. Okay, so as always, y'all know how I do. I'll show you guys my ingredients and then we'll get right into assembling. So the main star is the pumpkin and the pepper. And I just got this pumpkin from the store. I've never really worked with like pumpkins like this before because I've always been intimidated by their hard shell. But I was like, why not? Like it's a great fruit. Might as well, go ahead and work with it. And it's just so cute. Look how tiny and cute it is. And the same thing with this. I already went ahead for the seeds and I carved out some eyes. So if you're doing like a Halloween party, you can go ahead and make little designs in them. So that's why I wanted to use this because it's easy to make little designs with. So yes, June, I got these from Lido's. These are mini crab cakes. All right, so first, we're gonna go ahead and gut the pumpkin. So when I was trying this recipe, I was like, okay, I'm gonna be cute. I'm gonna go ahead. I'm gonna have my pumpkin, and then I'm gonna also do the seafood thing by making some Old Bay seasoned pumpkin seeds. It did not work out. Everything was smelling good. I was like, oh yes, I'm gonna have some great Old Bay spice pumpkin seeds with my stuffed pumpkin. I looked in my oven. All my pumpkin seeds was burnt, so that's going to take a little bit more work. So I'm going to just go ahead and gut the pumpkin, and that's just taking out the seeds and a little stringy fibers that's along with it. So I'm just going to use a spoon and just make sure I get all the seeds out. And just going in and just scraping the sides. So you can go ahead and save your seeds so you can try to make something with them afterwards. I'm just going to save them. I'm not going to do anything with them on camera because I don't want to embarrass myself again like I did the other day. But you definitely can use the seeds and just flavor them however you want. You can toss them with some olive oil and some sea salt and just have regular, pumpkin seeds, just like sunflower seeds. Or you can look in your cabinet. You can use like the umami seasoning. You can use your herbs. You can use whatever you see fit. And I think the issue that I had was that I tried to do everything at the same time. So for my pumpkin, I needed to be at a higher heat. So I had the oven set to 400. But for the pumpkin seeds, I probably should have had it at like 350. And I should have been checking it and flipping it throughout. So it's probably my mistake, but we're going to have to come back to this recipe. Okay, so the pumpkin is pretty much gutted for the most part. I'm also going to take this off because this is going to be the top of my pumpkin. All right. Just go ahead and check and just make sure it's all gutted. So that's looking good. I'm gonna set that one to the side. I'm gonna go ahead and gut my pepper. So I'm just gonna cut the top off so we can keep it and still have it look like a little pumpkin. Like, I'm just gonna go ahead and remove the seeds. And then rinse that out. All right. So next up, I'm just gonna go ahead, take a little bit of grapeseed oil or olive oil, whatever type of oil you have. Just pour a little inside and on the outside. And you're just gonna go ahead and just brush that out and just make sure that it's evenly, oiled all around. You don't need no fancy thing like this. You can just go ahead with your hand. That'll be better, and just make sure that it's just all the oil is distributed nicely. Same thing with the pepper. Since I'm using the oven for both of them at the same time, I have to keep my eye on the pepper. If I was doing it by itself, I would just have it at 350. But because I'm going to have the pumpkin in there and I want the pumpkin to cook through, I'm going to put my oven at, I'm going to do 375. But I would, if I was just doing a pumpkin, I would do it at 400. But for now, I'm just going to go ahead and put it at 375. Go ahead and pop it on my baking tray. You can make sure you get the tops as well. Set that right to the side. Sometimes people like to cover their pumpkins or whatever they're putting in the oven with aluminum foil just so it can keep the color. But I don't know about using aluminum foil, so I'm just gonna go ahead and pop them in as is. So bake at 375, pop that right on in. All right, so now I'll go ahead and get started with my mixture. So ingredients I'm using, we already seen the pumpkin, we already seen the bell pepper, orange bell pepper. So for my stuffing, I'm gonna be stuffing it with lentils. A mixture of lentils, red onion, wild rice, quinoa, some dates, and then for my seasonings, I just have some garlic powder, some umami seasoning, a bay leaf, sage. I'm about to butcher this name. It's marjoram. Tell me if I'm pronouncing it right or wrong. Marjoram. Some red chili flakes. Some thyme. Some sea salt. And some red wine vinegar. So I already went ahead and I pre-cooked all of everything that I'm going to be using. So I just have to go ahead and put that on the stove. But first, I'm going to go ahead and saute my onions. So I'm going to just add a little oil to the pan. I'm going to throw my onions in. Sprinkle a little sea salt on them. And then splash a little bit of my red wine vinegar on. I'm gonna go ahead and give that a mix around. I'm gonna just let that cook down. So you should want like that caramelized look to it before you add in the other ingredients. Okay, so for the other ingredients, once again, I'm using my lentils. And I just use a half a cup of dried lentils. And then, of course, I expanded. And this is probably like maybe a cup. Then I use a 4th cup of dried wild rice, and it looks like they expanded to about a half a cup. I took about 5 dates and I chopped those up. And it's going to just add like that nice light sweetness to the mixture. So if you have raisins, you can use that, but I like dates because it just gives like a different, nice, subtle taste to it. And then I had about a 4th cup of dried lentils, and then cooked. It came to about a half. Okay. So while I'm waiting for that to, caramelize up, I'm gonna go ahead and put my crab cakes on in the oven as well. So this is gonna be my first time trying them, so I'm not sure if it's good or not, but we shall see.
They're vegan crab cakes, Jasmin, and what brand?
Yep. So my sister got these from Lido's. It's a new market. I'm not sure if they're on the West Coast, but it's a new market that just came. It's sort of like Aldi's as well. But to me, they look like little tater tots. They say vegan crabless mini crab cakes. So this is what they look like out the package. They sort of remind me of like the Gardein ones as well. So this is what they're looking like. So I'm just put them on my baking sheet, and I probably will brush a little oil on them. If you have spray olive oil, that would probably work better. I'm gonna just do 6. I'm gonna just do 3 because I don't know how they're gonna taste. And I'll pop them right in the oven with my other pumpkin and my squash. My pumpkin and my red pepper. So onions looking good. They're sliding down. I just want to look a little bit more caramelized. So I'm gonna go ahead and make my crab cakes. Feel like a tartar sauce dipping sauce. So for this recipe, I'll just be using my mayo, some sweet relish, and some Old Bay seasoning, and a little garlic powder. So I actually made this mayo at home because I went to the store to get some mayo, and I was looking at those prices, and I was like, absolutely not. I could not bring myself to pay $8 for mayo. So I had to make it on my own, and literally it's just like I use aquafaba, some oil, garlic powder, and some lime juice. So very simple. I need to work with a little bit more because I do want it to be a bit more thicker. So you can see it's like runny, but it still gets the job done. It tastes great. I'm gonna use about 3 tablespoons of my mayo. I'm gonna take a dash of garlic powder. So maybe like a pinch of garlic powder, because I'm just making a single serving of this. Again, a pinch of my Old Bay. And then about a teaspoon of relish. I'm gonna go ahead and give that a mix. I actually want this to be a little bit spicy, so I'm gonna go ahead and add some hot sauce to it. So onions are cooking up nicely. Go ahead and add like three little drops of hot sauce just to give it a little bit of heat, and then we're good with that. Get a nice little mix. Get a nice taste. That's good. Nice heat. Of course, we love Old Bay here in Maryland. Nice little tartar sauce. You could add a little bit of lime juice if you want to, but I think I'm fine with that. So now my onions are cooking down. They have like that nice caramelized flavor, caramelized look to it. It's a little burnt. I didn't mean to do that, but this is what they're looking like. I'm gonna go ahead and add in my ingredients. So I'm gonna go ahead and add in my lentils. We're gonna mix around. I'm gonna add in my wild rice. Mix it around, make sure everything is evenly distributed. And then my quinoa. Around. I probably should use a bigger pot for this, but this is what we are working with. Actually, I'm gonna go ahead and switch that out because it's gonna spill over. And that's my bigger pot. And my mixture bigger pot. Alright, so I'm gonna go ahead and mix it all around. Then I'm gonna go ahead and start adding my seasonings into it. So I'm just doing like a half a teaspoon of all the seasonings. And it's sort of like giving me like that stuffing flavor. So if you don't like stuffing, I would leave out the marjoram. Again, tell me if I'm pronouncing it right or wrong. I love herbs because like if you have issues like using salt, herbs is a great way to add flavor and just some depth to your meals. So sage, again I'm adding in like a half a teaspoon of each. Marjoram, thyme, a pinch of red chili flakes. If you like it more heat, of course, add more. If not, you just want to settle, heat to it just a little bit. I'll go ahead and mix that around. And I'm going to go ahead and cover that with my vegetable broth. That's probably like 2.5 cups. I'm going to go ahead and add in 1 bay leaf. And just remember, you got to remove your bay leaf after it's all cooked down. So 1 bay leaf. And then a tablespoon of butter. And I'm just using the country crock. Go ahead and add that in, and then go ahead and give it all a mix. And you just want to simply let it cook down and let all the flavors cook out of it. Oh, I'm gonna go ahead and add. Go ahead and let it cook down, and then once it's cooked down and all the liquids is out, that's when I add in my chopped dates. So when you come back to me, I will be assembling my pumpkin and my pepper.
That's looking really good so far, Jasmine. Someone wanted to know, do you have the packaging? What's in the vegan crab cakes?
So the main ingredient is hearts of palm, panko breadcrumbs. It has some wheat, cane sugar, vegan mayonnaise, soy milk powder, lemon juice, shallots, parsley, argan. It has batter mixed with like corn flour, rice flour, cornstarch, sea salt, garlic powder, onion powder, canola oil, Xanax gum. I'll just go ahead and put it up.
No, that's great. It sounds like the main ingredient is hearts of palm, which is really popular for making vegan crab cakes. So
That's a great soy-free alternative too.
Yeah, that's awesome. Okay, well, we look forward to seeing what's going on in your kitchen when it's all done. But in the meantime, I'm going to bring it over to Ray with the delicious Rice Krispie treats. That's one of my favorite snacks, honestly. So take away, Ray.
I'm back, y'all. All right, so what I've got going on right now, I've got some butter melted. And again, this is so simple that anyone can do it. It might actually be like a fun activity to do with your kids or your children. So I've got the butter brown in here. You want the butter to be a nice, rich caramel brown. Now I did just like a half serving for this one, which is going to probably give me about 4.5 to 5 servings, depending on how big the slices you are wanting. Now when I tried this initially, it was for an adults only function. And I did my variation with it included bourbon. And it was very delicious, very delicious. And the thing is, people think when you veganize something that, it won't have any flavor or anything like that. You couldn't tell the difference whether it had a milk base or not. So, the marshmallows that I'm using are vegan. One of the most popular brands. You can find it in a good amount of stores. I got this out of Whole Foods. It's called Dandies. They have mini marshmallows as well. So, if you want to make some cocoa, you can get the mini marshmallows and use that. Use all kinds of recipes for it. What I'm going to do today is keep it simple. I'm going to give you some ideas because I want you to get creative with it, but I'm just going to keep it pretty simple. Again, I'm not going to add the bourbon because I'm over here sweating, honey, because this apple cider Long Island got me. Ooh. But so I'm going to let this brown, but I'm going to give you some variations. Again, I used the bourbon and vanilla when I did them the first time, and you can always control the amount. When we do post them on the website, I'll go ahead and list that recipe for you just in case you want to try it. Here's some other things you can do. So I have some goji berries here. I would add that while the marshmallows are cooking. So that way you can get the goji berries in there. Goji berries are like a super, super nutritious superfood, okay? 140% of your daily value of vitamin A. It's a good source of iron. It has 4 grams of protein in just 3 tablespoons, y'all. Like, come on. You can also use goji berries, by the way, like in your cereals and your yogurt. So I got some dried goji berries. You can put those in there. Another idea is you can use the cacao powder. So if you want to have like a chocolatey spin onto it, you can use the cacao powder and make them some chocolate Rice Krispies. And if you do that, you might want to do that with a little bit of maple syrup or agave. Give that little dose of sweetness. And then finally, to be extra dramatic, you can add some chocolate chips. I get these vegan chocolate chips from Trader Joe's. They're the dark chocolate. These particular ones are 72% dark chocolate. The dark chocolate ones are the ones that are mostly that'll be without milk, of course. And they're delicious, okay? Like simply delicious. And they just look like regular chocolate chips and they taste delicious because it's chocolate. Okay? So if you want to be extra dramatic, you can throw these in there, mix them up so you can have chocolate chips in your Rice Krispies. Or if you want to be extra fun, you can melt some of these. And like to melt them, you can just put them in the microwave. Be careful. Make sure you watch it. It doesn't take long for these to melt. Melt this into a chocolate sauce. And once you lay your Rice Krispies out to sit, you can take some of that chocolate sauce and brush them on top, honey. Make a little thick coating. But the possibilities are endless. So you can make your Rice Krispies to your own liking. You know, we're getting into obviously we have the trick or treat, but you're getting into the holiday season. You can use things like a matchka powder if you want to do anything for like a Christmas or a Kwanzaa type of thing. Again, I gave you the goji berry idea. You can also use like matchka powder. You know, matchka, definitely a good thing to add. It's very healthy. So the possibilities are endless. Again, back to our basic recipe. So with this, I have a 4 ounce, which is a half cup stick of butter. The butter that I'm going to use, now you want to use salted with these, okay? So I use Earth Balance. I use there's a couple different varieties of Earth Balance. I use the red one, which is soy free. They have about, 4 sticks in each box, and they come in the 4 ounce as opposed to the long 8 ounce ones. So I use the whole stick, which is a half a cup of butter. Just want to give you a note though. With baking season around the corner, child. They now have the unsalted variety. And you can't find this as commonly as you can find the other one. I find these in Whole Foods and some other markets, but the unsalted changed my life because when I would try to do my yams, it was hard because I didn't have an unsalted butter alternative. And even with Earth Balance, with the variety that had I think 6% salt, I still could taste the salt, if that makes any sense, with my yams. So I wasn't quite pleased with the way that they were coming out. But when I tried this, child, it was great. So they do have an unsalted variety of the Earth Balance, so you can get your holiday bake on. We're having our happy hour next month focusing on sweet potato. I might just do a sweet potato pie. We'll see. But yeah, either that or the yams, and I'll be sure for y'all to make this the star of the show when I'm using in my recipe. So those are your butter alternatives. Getting back to the pot, we got a nice golden brown going on here. These come in 10 ounce sizes. So what you're gonna do is just add the entire bag in. And you're gonna stir it up. Now you can add in what you like, of course, but I do like to add just a touch of salt, just a pinch, like an 1/8 of a teaspoon, depending on what I'm doing. Now, because I am doing these by themselves without any type of extra variety added to them, I'm just going to add that pinch. But if you're going for something that's going to be like a little super sweet, then you might not need to do that. I've noticed that it makes the difference, just that tiny bit. Again, like I was telling you about the butter, even the tiniest bit of salt comes through. So you add this into your pot and you stir it up. It doesn't take long for these to melt. So you get those going. I'm going to use kosher salt. And again, just a pinch, just a pinch. And if you don't have like a just a pinch thing, I mean, you can take a light sprinkle, like you're about to swing on somebody, but you're bucking at them, and use that with the salt. You can do that. But I'm just going to do just a light pinch here and another one, so that can equal just about 1/8 of a teaspoon. I like kosher salt because it does stand out a bit. Open that. And I'm going to throw in some vanilla. I'm going to throw in some vanilla with this because I kind of want it, again, it's going to be standalone plain Rice Krispies, but I want to add in that vanilla just so I can get that little bit here. So I am going to put in about 1/2 teaspoon of vanilla. Listen to the round of applause coming out this pot, y'all. Apparently it liked it. All right, so again, it is very simple. The key is to make sure that the butter is brown before you start adding anything in there. It does not take your combination of the spices and, the sweeteners or salt and the marshmallows to melt long at all. Please do not put this in the pot and walk away. You will be mad because you wasted your money and now you got burnt marshmallows and you didn't have to do s'mores. So I'm just going to stir this around. And because you've got the butter that's all nice and caramelized, it looks very good. And literally as I am stirring these, let me show you. Can you see that? Yeah, again, it hasn't even been in that long and you can see that they're starting to melt. So you can turn your heat up to like medium high and just get your stirring in. Get it put together. Does not take long at all. It's going to start forming a goo. And you just want to keep stirring. That's the key. Keep stirring, because you don't want to let it sit too long by itself. You know, again, do not put these in and walk away. You will be mad. And then you're going to be like, who's going to scrub this pot out? Because it won't be me. So yeah, not to say I made those mistakes, but I made sure I can see the potential for if you walked away and saw how it would melt. Because when you're stirring this, again, it's starting to get really gooey, really ooey gooey, and it's starting to break apart. And if you didn't continuously stir, it would definitely get stuck really, really quickly. Now, just to skip ahead, once these are melted really good, you're going to just lay them out into a greased dish. And what I use for my greasing, again, just a light coating on my glass dish. I use my grapeseed oil. It's got a neutral flavor to it. So I use my grapeseed oil on it just to lightly grease my glass dish. You're going to lay them out in the glass dish. And then you want to find something that's a little firm just to put on the top, but you put a layer of parchment paper over there. And then you just put the something heavy on top just to weigh it down. Make sure that it's nice and flat. And that way you'll have like a flat layer. And again, if you decide that you want to melt some chocolate on top of it, then I would say once you put these into the pan, that's when you want to go ahead and just spread your layer of the chocolate on there. So that way it can just melt together. And if you want to do if you're adding anything like your goji berries or your chocolate chips, then this would be the step that you want to add it in there. Especially if you want to get the chocolate chips nice and melty. If you don't want them to be as melted and you really want to have those chunks when you bite in to the Rice Krispie, then I would say towards the end of the cooking process, when the marshmallows maybe have like 2 minutes or so left, then you can add the chocolate chips in there. Other than that, I would say if you want them to be really melty, right when the marshmallows start to get a good melt and they're still got a little bit of chunks here and there, you can start adding those chocolate chips in there and they can kind of get a good melt on them, just like your marshmallows. So I'm going to show you before we break what it's starting to look like. See that? So it's starting to melt really good. And then for my Rice Krispies, okay, I have a vegan crisp rice. Okay, I do believe that regular Rice Krispies have milk in them, but you can find, you'll be surprised to know that a lot of brands of generic Rice Krispies, they are vegan. So I did get mine from Trader Joe's, but you can just look for different varieties of crisp rice. I know there's a brand that's called Nature's Path. I like them. They do a lot of vegan-based delicious cereals. So Nature's Path, you can catch those. That's a pretty common brand. I've seen those in all kinds of grocery stores. So Nature's Path isn't hard to find. You can always catch those on a sale really quick, whenever. Like once or twice a quarter is what I seem to notice for those. So once you've got these melted, let me show you now, it's like looking rich, right? Yeah, nice and rich. So now that I've got these rich and melted, got that butter mixed in, I'm going to take my Rice Krispies or my crisp rice and throw them on in there for a full serving, which would feed about, depending on how you chop it, would feed probably about 10 people or so. You can add 6 cups, which is maybe 3/4 of an average size box of crisp rice, but this is 3. Okay. And again, I have the recipe. So when you go to see the recipe, it'll be the entire one for the serving. But again, I'm just doing half just to give you a sample. And plus, I don't, the more that's available, the more I might eat chop. So I don't want to have that type of problem. Okay. So when you do add the crisp rice, you can move your pot. And then now you're just going to stir. And you're going to have to give it some good arm work because you want to make sure that you get the marshmallows all mixed in with the crisp rice. You might hear some go pop. That means it's getting a good mix in. You want to make sure that all of it is mixed in very, very well, okay? You don't want any hunks of the marshmallow because who wants to bite into a crispy treat and then you got all this big hunk of marshmallow and then you got some dry rice. Like, no thanks. You failed, and you have to try again. But yeah, so I'm mixing this up. Again, very simple. Just make sure you stir it in very, very well with your spoon. I'm gonna show you what that looks like. Let me get up close to you. See that? Yeah. And then that's it. So when you come back, I'm gonna lay these out in my pre-greased, lightly greased container, and you'll see what it looks like. So by the time it has some time to cool, I'm gonna cut a little piece. You typically want to let these set maybe for like, I would say at least give it like 2 hours or so. If you want to really show off and get it nice and firm, give it more time so it can really set in. And the good thing about these, when you, depending on what kind of pan you put it in, like you can set the tone. So if you want to make big squares, you can. If you have a lot of people and you want to kind of conserve, you can chop them into small ones. When I did my my bourbon ones, I just made like little small squares and just handed them out like little bite-sized appetizers. So that way it was just like a little quick pop in the mouth, a little nice little treat. Nothing to be like, oh, this is a dessert size portion. All right, I'll show you one more time. See that? Yeah. So I'll see y'all on the flip.
I love flavors of like saltiness and then sweetness. I feel like Rice Krispies means all of those. So like if you have a sweet tooth and a salty tooth.
Right.
You're muted, Jess.
I'm like gesturing all over the place. I love the crunch and the chew too. That's like my favorite combo. It's so good. So look forward to seeing those. Wish I had some here. But I'm going to get started showing everybody how to make some crispy tofu sticks. So let's get it going. All right, everyone. So I'm excited to share this recipe for crispy tofu sticks. I've made these a few times before and they're delicious. Like most of these crispy breaded recipes I make, you have the option to make them like in the oven or the air fryer or fry them on the stove. But for the purpose of the demo, I wanted you to be able to see the cooking process. So I'm going to be showing you how to fry them in shallow oil today. So let's get into the ingredients. So I have here just about 1 inch of grapeseed oil in a pan, and I'm heating that over medium heat from the beginning just to get it warm. I like using grapeseed oil and avocado oil because they have a high smoke point, so they don't necessarily get smoked out or rancid in the cooking process. And then there's basically 2 aspects to this. We have our tofu for the tofu sticks. So I have here 1 14-ounce block of extra firm tofu. I like using extra firm tofu for recipes like this because it's really, really firm. And so it doesn't fall apart as easily. Tofu can be kind of delicate, but firm tofu works well also. Extra firm tofu is also nice if you're interested or concerned about getting enough protein. This has about they say 1 14-ounce package has about 4.5 servings in it. Each serving is 90 calories and 10 grams of protein. So that's a really good calorie to protein ratio if that's something that you care about. Now we have basically a dry mix that's going to turn into our wet mix. So there's not like a lot of breading and stuff going on. I kind of came up with a hack for having to skip like the long dredging situation. So I'll show you that very soon. But in terms of our dry mix, we have here 1/2 cup of rice flour. This is a gluten-free recipe, so if that's important to you, it's perfect. But if you don't want to use rice flour and you can eat wheat, you can use all-purpose flour here. I have 1/4 cup of cornmeal. I have 2 tablespoons of cornstarch to make it extra crispy, but you could also use something like potato starch or tapioca starch to add the extra crispiness. And then in terms of flavor, we have 1.5 teaspoons of Old Bay seasoning. We have 1 teaspoon of onion powder, 1 tablespoon of sesame seeds. I think it adds nice flavor and a little bit of extra crunch. We also have 1 teaspoon of garlic powder. And then just to get this nice and crispy, kind of like tempura, we also have here 1.5 teaspoons of baking powder. So like I said, I have 1.5 teaspoons of Old Bay here. That is our source of salt in the recipe, so we're not using any additional salt. And then to make this tofu more fishy, we're going to be using some sushi nori sheets. So this is the source of the delicious fishy seafood flavor where we enjoy food from the sea, but we don't harm animals, right? So with that said, I have already opened and drained this tofu. Because it's extra firm, you really don't need to press it. Most of the liquid has already been pressed out. So I'm just going to go ahead and cut this into about 8 strips. So I'm just going to cut it in half widthwise, like that. And then, let's see, can we get, let's see how many we get in here. I don't want to cut it too small because tofu can be kind of fragile. So if you cut it too small, it will be more prone to break apart. But I think I'm actually going to be able to get 10 tofu fish sticks out of this. So we got these cut into nice long strips. My block is actually more on the square side, but if your block is more rectangular, cut it lengthwise just so you get those longer sticks or strips to make your tofu fish sticks. Okay. So I didn't cut it perfectly evenly. So one side was a little thicker. So I actually am going to get 11 tofu fish sticks out of this. So this is the width that they're looking like to get started. Okay. So with that done, now we're going to go ahead and just start off to try to get some flavor infused into these. And I'm just going to take some of my Old Bay and sprinkle it directly on the tofu fish sticks. On our tofu strips here. So I'm just lightly sprinkling that. I don't want to use most of it. It's going to go in the dry mix as well. Okay. Just get that nice and coated. Get some good flavor. Start it off in the tofu. Tofu is a blank canvas, honestly. It can be honestly on the bland side. So it is important to season it. You don't want to overpower anything. Tofu. Fish sticks are kind of light in flavor, honestly. So you don't want to over season it, but we do want to make sure it's not bland. That's essential. So I'm just flipping this over. I'm going to do another sprinkle. Our dry mix will be seasoned, but it's just, I think, a good idea to season every layer of the cooking that you're doing here. So just going to go ahead, get that nice and covered evenly. Okay. All right. So we got our Old Bay all over our tofu strips. So now it's time to make our dry mix. I'm going to take the remaining Old Bay, add that into the flour, along with our onion powder, our sesame seeds, our garlic powder, actually I'm going to hold off on the baking powder, really. Well, no, baking powder, put it all in. It's going to be just fine. Our cornmeal, and this is our cornstarch. So we're going to add all of that into our dish here. Then we're going to take our whisk. Here's a whisk. Now we're going to take our whisk and we're just going to mix it together until it is evenly combined here. So this is the dry mix to get everything started. All right, so I told y'all that I had a little shortcut to make dredging simpler. Okay, so what we're going to do is take a strainer, and we see people tuning in. So glad everybody is watching and enjoying these cooking demos so far. And so we're going to take our dry mix, and then we're going to take a tablespoon, and we're going to use a sifter here. And we're just going to put that into the sifter and just do a sprinkle of the dry mix onto our tofu strips. Just 1 tablespoon, doesn't take much. it has the potential to be a little messier, but it's so much faster than like having to dredge and stuff. So we're just flipping it. This is basically just to make a nice surface so that, you know, our wet mix, when we dip it, clings to everything much easier. So that's the purpose of doing this dry dredge first. Not too serious, but it does make a difference, and this is the shortcut to do it. Okay, my oil is really hot, so I'm going to turn that on low. Yeah, we're just going to go ahead, like I said, and I see Paige in the comments. Hi, Paige. Thanks for tuning in. I hope you're enjoying the live demo. Okay, so like I said, take another scoop. We don't need it to be too dry, but we're just doing it this way. Okay, so actually I'm going to turn my oil off because we got a couple more steps. Okay, so that is my quick dredging method. So you can see that all our tofu sticks are now covered in that dry mix, right? So I'm now going to actually switch. What makes sense here? I think this would make sense. Okay, so now we're going to go ahead and take our water and add it into our dry mix to make our wet batter. So this is 1/2 cup of water. No, this is 3/4 cup of water. All right, and I'm just going to whisk this. We want a relatively thin batter here. It's going to help it get nice and crispy and everything like that. Let me move some of my utensils out of the way here so we can get to work when it's time. Okay. All right, and I'm just going to continue to whisk this together until evenly combined here. So we have nice texture in here. We have those sesame seeds and that cornmeal, and then the rice flour and the cornstarch are going to just give it a really nice, light, crisp texture. You could use soda water if you want to. That will really give it some lift. If you want it to be even more light and crispy like tempura. If you have a beer, you could beer batter it. Oh, yes. And someone says if you don't want to use cornstarch, you could also use arrowroot powder. Yes, that's also a great option. All right, so here's what our wet mix is looking like now that it's fully mixed. All righty. And so now we need to adhere our nori to our tofu sticks, right? And so in order, I just cut this up. So it comes out looking like this. Let's see, we have. So this is a nori sheet. This is what you use to roll up sushi. So I just cut it in half in equal strips, just so it's about as long as our tofu strips here. So I'm just going to dip it. And you don't want to dip it too long because the nori will get a little wrinkly on you. It can get delicate. So we just dip it really quick. So now we've adhered the nori to one side of the tofu like that. I'm just going to go through and repeat that process to get all of our tofu here covered with that nori. And nori or seaweed in general is just a great source of minerals. It's an excellent supplement to have in your diet. And so this is a creative way to get it in. Okay, so I'm just going through dipping and attaching our nori strips to our tofu strips here. Okay. Yep. And if it's a little bit wider, you can wrap it around. All right, we don't need perfection because ultimately we're going to dip all of this into the wet batter anyway. Okay. Right, so we've got our tofu strips looking good here, right? Keep at it. I'm gonna do a couple more. I won't be able to fit all these in the frying pan at once anyway, so I'm gonna stop after this one. All right, so we've got that nice and covered. Honestly, I will say that this batter is looking a little thick to me. It's kind of looking like cornbread. I mean, we do have the cornstarch and all that stuff in it, so I'm going to thin it out a little bit more. I'm going to up this, eyeball about another 1/4 cup of our water, or maybe 2 to 3 tablespoons. Okay, and mix that up with this just a little bit looser. We don't want a super thick batter. Okay, that's looking much better. It's loose. It's like a very loose pancake mix right now. That's what we want. All right. And so now we're just going to take our tofu. I'm going to put my heat back up to medium low. And dip it on all sides. Let it hang a little bit just so some of the extra batter drips off. And then we're going to put that into our oil. And we're going to keep doing that process. I think I'll be able to fit about, I don't know, 4 or 5 those fish sticks in the oil. And basically the goal is just to cook this until it gets lightly golden brown and crispy. So we're going to cook it on each side for about 3 to 4 minutes. So all the batter cooks through. We get that nice crispy texture. The beautiful thing about eating plant-based food is, unlike frying fish or chicken, the tofu is fully cooked, right? So you don't have that concern about eating raw food. The tofu is safe to eat. So this is really just about developing the flavors and textures that we want. So we really don't have to spend nearly as much time at the stove making sure our food is safe to eat. So that is a win for vegan eating all day, every day. Okay. Like I said, I think, let's see. I think I can get, you don't want to crowd your pan. So I think I can get, let's see. Can I get 5? I think I can get 5 in here. All right, I can get 5. I like personally, obviously, if you're comfortable with frying food, use a bigger pan, you know. I like frying in a small pan. I just feel like I have more control. It doesn't get away from me. So I am not an expert or regular fryer of food. I do it from time to time, special occasions, special meals. So there we go. We got it in and our oil is cooling down. So I'm gonna just keep playing with it, keep it around medium, medium high, medium low, just adjusting as I go. We don't want this to burn. We do want everything to cook through thoroughly. We want to keep the temperature so that it's always simmering and sizzling in the pot because we don't want this to be greasy. If you're cooking your oil at too low of a heat, it's gonna absorb more oil and it's gonna get greasy. If you put it in nice hot oil, it's gonna seal up the exterior of what you're cooking and it's going to make it nice and juicy inside and nice and crisp on the outside, but it's not gonna absorb a lot of oil. So I'm going to let these continue to cook up. And while this is cooking, we're going to visit Jasmin again to see what's going on in her kitchen.
I love those. I love like nice, easy finger foods, Jess.
Mm-hmm.
Try that recipe out.
Yeah, and you gave us a little life hack with that little dredging.
Yes.
You know, it's so much easier. I hate pulling out 3 bowls to have to do all that. So this is just like, you know, it's a little bit of a mess, but you just take it a little bit at a time and it's so easy.
Right. Look that you waste so much less because, you know, when you do it regularly, like you have my dry mixture, my wet mixture, and then you have to go ahead, like, what are you going to do with it afterwards? And also, like, you don't want to keep on digging your fingers. I like
You get the
all dilly and stuff. Ew.
You get those like finger helmets with the dough. Yes. Well, yes, I'm glad you're loving the tips, and I can't wait to see what your stuffed quinoa, your pumpkins and peppers are looking like, Jasmin. So here we go.
So while I was off camera, I went ahead and I finished this mixture here, and basically it was just I let all of the vegetable broth cook out of it or cook down, and then I added in these chopped dates. Again, it was about 5 chopped dates. I mixed that around, and then this is what we're looking like. So a nice hearty mixture, and I also just top it with a little bit of salt because I didn't add that in originally. Let's go ahead and taste that. All the herbs that I've used is really giving it Thanksgiving food, and this is the season. You know, this is what you eat on Thanksgiving, and these are the flavors that are really coming out. So I'm gonna just go ahead and remove the bay leaf, and then I'm gonna go ahead and start stuffing my peppers and my pumpkin. So I went ahead and, like I told you all earlier, I went ahead and took my pepper out earlier because I didn't want it to, burn. And when I took it out, originally I had it set at 375. Once I took my pepper and my crab cakes out, I went ahead and I upped the heat to 400, and I let my pumpkin cook. The pumpkin cooked for about 25 minutes. The pepper cooked for about 15 minutes, and this is what it looked like. This was looking out on the side. The pumpkin is still hot, but it's nice, soft, and tender. And again, the pumpkin is edible. So it's like a nice little cup. You only gotta, I don't even need to use this plate if I didn't want to, because everything is just, I can hold it in my hand and it's not gonna go anywhere. I'm gonna go ahead and I'm gonna fill or stuff my pumpkins. So I'm just gonna go ahead and spoon my mixture into a pumpkin. And I'm gonna go ahead and stuff the same mixture into the pepper. And these are great, like if you're hosting and you want like little appetizers, of course you can go ahead and roast more pumpkins and peppers. And they're like good little handheld finger food. And then for the season, we saved our tops. We roasted those too, so we can just top those and make them look like cute little pumpkin figures. I'm gonna go ahead and top that. And I chose the orange bell pepper because it's just like a pumpkin. Looks like we have like a little carved. Put that back up. We have like a little carved pumpkin, and it's perfect because the stem is green. Yeah, there we go. And we carved out the face like we were doing like pumpkin carvings. So you can be as creative as possible. And then this is what the crab cake looked like. You got a nice little golden brown on the inside, and I'll test it out when we come back on camera. But I did see a couple of people in the comments, so it does have soy because it uses soy milk in this product. So it is not soy free. But here it is. Nice, simple stuffed pumpkin and stuffed pepper. So I'll try it when we come back on camera all together. You made it, Jess.
That is so creative, Jasmin.
Yeah, it's so cute, and I feel like they'll be like really nice, like holiday centerpieces too. Like everyone can have their own.
Yeah.
Like, I mean, like people eat Cornish hens sometimes at the holidays because it's like their own personal thing. So like having your own mini pumpkin as like the centerpiece of your plate, I think is really cute. And Lita says it's looking delicious, Jasmin. So
thank you.
Yes. So Ray, you ready to show us those Rice Krispie treats?
I am, y'all. So I do want to go over some other options as far as, seafood, because again, we are doing seafood alternatives. So for those who are concerned about just the soy option, you can definitely make your own. Hearts of Palm is one of my favorite go-tos, and there's plenty of recipes that you can Google to take a look at. I think Tabitha Brown might have one. Check our website, our resources section. Again, I like to use Hearts of Palm with mine. That's a good base in my opinion for ones to use. But if you're just if you're not as concerned about the soy option, another one, and this is just in case you don't have a Lidl in your area, Whole Foods, Sprouts Farmers Markets, a lot of markets carry the brand that I'm about to introduce. It's called Good Catch, and they have fish sticks, they have crab cakes, they have fish fillets, I believe they have shrimp, and they even have tuna. So I'm going to show you what the crab cake looks like. And, you can get creative as you're cooking these. So if you're putting these in the oven, you can brush any type of like oil that you want on there. So if you look at it, it's definitely light skin. Okay. But if you fry them, you can probably get like a better sear on them. I like to bake them. I don't do a lot of frying. I cut it like a Pac-Man. See? But I just want to show you. It's given like salmon kind of looking on the inside. They're pretty good. Now I'm from Baltimore, so as far as the crab cake, I feel like mine's can probably taste better and more closer to what I'm used to being from Baltimore. But if you don't partake in crab cakes that often, or you're used to getting crab cakes that might have like filler in them, this might be a good option. I used to love fish sticks when I was a child. I would do crazy things like make them extra crispy, put them on a sandwich with some cheese and toast, because that was what I wanted to do, and it tasted really, really good to me. So please save your judgment. But they have fish sticks. So I love these fish sticks. I do the same thing I used to do when I was a child, and make me a little sandwich with some vegan cheese. I used to use the BioLife cheese and put it on my bread. But just to show you what it looks like here. And they do have the crunch. So if you don't like yours extra crunchy like I do, you can put a light crunch on them. Again, I bake these. You can fry them if you want to get that more golden one on them. I'm not so much concerned about the golden because I'm concerned about the taste and when it gets in my belly. So whatever on that one. And this is the tuna. Now they do have different ones. So if you like your tuna with all like, I don't want to say crazy stuff, but like oils and Mediterranean flavors, they do have those options as well. I don't like all that. I don't want any oil. I just like mine plain so I can go ahead and do what I want to do. So this is their plant-based tuna. Again, you're going to need some seasoning, okay? But if you had like tuna out of the can, you probably would put seasoning on that too, right? Same thing applies, just like with much of the stuff as far as when you want to veganize it. If it was non-vegan, you would have to put seasoning. Same thing applies. So I chopped this up and I definitely put in some vegan mayo. I don't know how I want to feel. I might put some nori in there, some kelp, some salt, lemon pepper. Just depends on what I'm feeling like for that day. Put it on some toast. Put your celery and whatever. So you can give these a shot. Just to let you know, each pouch is 1 serving, and it's 17 grams of protein. So in this one serving package. So just an option. I'll just really quickly read what it has. It does have a blend of the soy protein and the pea protein, chickpea flour, fiber protein, lentil protein, navy bean. Has sunflower oil, salt, onion powder, garlic powder, and seaweed powder. None of which I really taste, but again, I add my own seasonings in here, and it's got a pretty good consistency. It has a really good consistency that satisfies me for making it. So, crab cake that I cut to look like Pac-Man, and fish sticks and tuna. So those are some of your options. Okay. Now let's get back into what I came into. So I did mention when you put the Rice Krispies in, you want to put your parchment paper on there so you can start to flatten it as opposed to getting the sticky stuff all over your spoon. Quick little hack is you put the parchment paper on, take like something that's said heavy, or you can just take something and just smooth it. So that way it makes it nice and smooth across the top. Now you want to do this when you first put it in there, so that way it helps to shape it. Again, this is something you want to set for a while so that the marshmallow can just meld in together and everything can gel. But I am just for the intention of this demo, just want to cut into it so that you can take a look and see. Let me show you how golden brown it looks. Again, this is why you want to make sure that you caramelize that butter. So it's got that nice brown look on it, okay? All right, so I'm digging in. Oh, it's so ooey gooey. Goodness gracious of life. Let it go. Okay, here we go. All right, so here we go. I'm gonna try and break it apart. I mean, look, y'all. Okay, so you can see that marshmallow in there. You can see that it's no clumps. Again, if you like the clumps, that's your thing. I like mine evenly distributed. I just want a crisp rice that's nice and sticky. Take a bite. Absolutely fabulous. This is my first time tasting it without the liquor, and it is absolutely fabulous. It is absolutely fabulous. I would say the next time if I were to do this, because remember I did add the vanilla, I would probably add the maple syrup too, because it's getting me there with like a deep warmth richness with the vanilla, but I think the maple syrup will set it off. But again, remember everything that the options that I gave you for what you can add in there, especially if you want to melt the chocolate, lay it on top. You don't even have to do the squares. I mean, if you want to do the Rice Krispie balls, you can take them and just roll them up. If you want to do something that's like Halloween oriented, you can get yourself like some little eyes and stick them on there. And, again, if you want to do anything for like Christmas or Kwanzaa, you can use the colors like the matchka or goji berries in there. The choice is yours, and the options are just about endless. So there's your options.
They sound great. I like those decoration and like add-in options too, Ray.
Now y'all need to come over here and help me because I don't need to eat all this.
Like send it to the screen. I will eat a pan by myself.
Thankfully, the bonus son is going to be here this week, so I know he'll definitely do his part to dig right in.
It's always good to have help.
That would definitely be good for like if you have like smaller kids as well. That's an easy like hand-on activity for the holidays that you can get them involved with. So
absolutely, and it's so easy. It's so easy, and it's fun. Like you see the finished product, you know.
Absolutely. We have a little bit of feedback from our viewers. Gail Reed says, "Good job, Jasmin. I almost ate that mini crab cake on the camera." Yes, we feel you, Gail. And then Lita Logical says, "Delicious, Ray. Thank you for the Good Catch recommendations." I think they also sell Good Catch at Walmart. So it is a pretty accessible brand depending on where you are. And I tried their vegan tuna in a couple recipes, and it's good. It's great for making simple stuff for like tuna casserole and stuff like that. And I also want to say I was also a fish stick sandwich girl with cheese and ketchup. That was also me growing up. So I was like, ooh, flashback. I know what I'm about to do.
It's so good. Ray, I was cracking up at your little Pac-Mans over there.
Because I was off the mic. Definitely was playing with my food, but that's okay.
Well, I'm gonna leave y'all. I'm gonna come into the main screen, but I'm gonna leave y'all here with me to show you the final product of these tofu fish sticks, aka the tofu fish sticks. So here's what they look like when they're finished. They're nice and golden brown and crispy. I kind of have them alternated so you can see what it looks like on the seaweed side and just all around. But they're so crispy. It's almost like fish and chips type of batter, you know. So if you want it thicker, you could add breadcrumbs. You could add anything to add more texture to it. But I like the light and crispy batter, so I'm gonna.
Oh, listen to that crunch, y'all.
That's what I mean, like that beer batter, you know. How
Really delicious. It would be great with a little bit of lemon juice, vegan tartar sauce. Yes. My personal favorite is I love cocktail sauce. Everybody doesn't love it, but I love that like horseradish and ketchup combination. So really simple. And so if you want to try these out, we encourage you to do so. And we'll be sending out those recipes to y'all very soon.
Awesome.
All right, everyone. This was so much fun this evening. Sharing
we're waiting for everybody.
I'm sorry. Go for it.
All right. So I told you I was going to go ahead and try the crab because I haven't tried the mat, so I'll try one plain. They have a good flavor.
Okay. Nice.
I'm going to try with the sauce. It's good crunch as well. Pretty good.
Nice.
I would recommend, I would say like a 8 out of 10.
Okay.
Okay, so my pumpkin, I like the pumpkin because you can just dip it in. You can get a little pumpkin from the side on your spoon with the whisker.
Let a little face on the pumpkin.
So this is what it's
like. Nice. Okay.
The flavor is just good. I love the dates in it because it has like a nice little, sweetness in it, and you have savory, savory hints from like the herbs. So
nice. I bet it smells delicious in your house too.
It does. I was cooking it. It's like, oh, Thanksgiving. Thanksgiving is
Yep. Awesome.
Yes. I didn't mean to cut you off, Jasmin. You were so patient. You waited to taste for all of us. And I'm like, all right, we did it. Yes, well, this was so much fun this Friday. Thank you to everyone who tuned in. We've been seeing your comments. We so appreciate you chatting with us, hanging out with us, and we hope we inspired you with some spooky sweets because Halloween's on Monday, some just seasonal dishes you can enjoy, and also some different brands or recipes for vegan seafood alternatives for you to give a try. So if you enjoyed this video, once again, please like it, whether you're watching on Facebook or YouTube. Share it with someone who you think might enjoy these recipes. Follow us on Facebook, subscribe to our YouTube channel. Every bit helps. We're on the road to actually 5,000 subscribers, and we're getting really close on YouTube. So if you haven't already subscribed, we'd love to hit that mark by the end of the year. So join us. We got a lot more videos coming this year and a lot more next year. So
Absolutely.
Yes, we love the time. Thanks, Ray and Jasmin, for inviting us into your kitchens and showing us what you made today.
Thank you so much. And thank you, everyone, for tuning in. As always, we so appreciate the time that you give us. And if you are partaking in Halloween activities and you have children, may your babies be safe. And if you're going to be giving out, meaning you're not going to keep your light shut off and be peeking through the blinds if you get a knock at the door, remember there are tons of options for vegan candy that are just like waiting for you in your dollar store. So, maybe just take that option, when the kids come out, just, be a little helpful for them, give them some candy that doesn't necessarily have gelatin or pork in it, just give them something a little bit healthier that's still disguised as candy.
What are some of your favorite candy brands, right?
He said some of my favorite
candy brands.
Candy brands, I like gummy bears. There are so many new versions of vegan gummy bears out there. Honestly, one of my favorite brands just comes from a market. It's Sprouts Farmers Market, and they're like double-sided. So it's like your fruit flavor is on the front, and then they have this white backing to them. That's one of my favorite. And also, I can't believe I forgot this one. My fiance and I tend to fight over it. Trader Joe's has these like swimmers that I like to get. I get those as well. We tend to hide them from each other, but that's our. But yeah, so when I do candy, which I don't do much, I'd rather take a second helping of dinner or lunch instead of some sweets. But yeah, so I'd opt for like a vegan gummy bear. What about you?
I see that Jessica pulled out a couple. Those are actually some of the ones I love as well.
Yeah, I was in the mood and I had a grocery delivery coming, so I picked up a couple things. So I got the Unreal dark chocolate peanut butter cups with quinoa, so they're like crunchy in the inside. These are really tasty, but I love the chocolate coconut ones. That's my favorite. And these are nice because they're not super high in sugar, so they still taste sweet. They're really delicious, and I like the texture of the vegan chocolate, but they're not too sugary. And then I just learned about these a couple months ago, and I end up buying them about once a month. And they're by Yummy Earth or Yum Earth. And they have Giggles, which are like vegan Skittles.
Okay.
And then they have Chewies, which are kind of like a cross between Starburst and Now and Laters to me.
Ooh, say loud.
So the texture is kind of like right in the middle, but both of these are so good.
And you say Yum Earth?
Yum Earth, yeah. I don't know if y'all can see that, but yeah, Yum Earth.
Goes up. Oh, and I almost forgot too, Justin's when you had the peanut butter cups, Justin's, which is very common to find in the stores. They do peanut butter cups, and some of them have like the quinoa, crisp rice, and the dark chocolate, and the cashew butter, and almond butter in them. So those are good looks too.
Yeah. I would just check the ingredient labels because Unreal, they have a couple products that aren't vegan, and then I think Justice, they have a couple products that aren't vegan as well. So just make sure you check the ingredient labels.
Right. Some of them are milk chocolate. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, and usually if you see something with caramel in it, even if they have other options, the caramel is usually not vegan unless it explicitly says vegan caramel.
Yeah. I'm saying with like a lot of chocolate bars, like the endangered species, like that caramel one isn't vegan, even like dark chocolate.
Yeah.
I really want someone to come up with a vegan toffee because I love toffee.
Oh, I just had some of those. Let me go grab it.
Girl, I'm on my way to your house. Because I can make it, but sometimes like I don't want to do all that because then it's like, all right, now.
A lot of work, yeah.
It looks like a hard toffee candy, but it's by Cocoa Mel's.
Ooh, yeah.
Coconut hard toffee, and it reminds me of like the Werner. Remember the Werner's hard toffee?
Yeah.
So little hard candy.
Okay.
Yes, that sounds really good.
But it complements itself. Sweetness.
Yum.
Really.
Okay. I'm gonna go trick or treating over Jasmin's house, y'all.
She got good stuff.
And you can open the door.
Yes, y'all. Well, yes, have a happy, healthy, and safe holiday season. We're getting it kicked off, and we'll have more for you. And when we share the email, Karen asked about the recipe. So we mentioned a couple times, but we'll be sending an email next week with a link to all the recipes. And we will also be sharing a link to our holiday recipe guide that has a bunch of holiday recipes for you to try out this holiday season. So if you're looking for some inspiration, we've got mac and cheese, we got meatloaf, we got country fried cauliflower steaks, we got lasagna, all that good stuff, plus lots and lots of desserts like red velvet brownies. Delicious items. So check out that guide if you're also looking for some holiday inspo. But yeah, it's time to wrap up happy hour, y'all. Get into the rest of this weekend. So everybody have an amazing night. And people are asking so much about the shirt. Okay, so Jasmine's wearing an apron. I mean, there's a demand, so we're going to figure out how to get aprons to y'all. It'll probably be earlier next year. We probably won't be able to get it to you this year, but we do have a Teespring shop, so we'll share the link to our Teespring if you want like sweatshirts, hoodies, t-shirts with the Afro-Vegan Society logo, or also some stuff that says Afro-Vegans Unite. We'll share the link to our Teespring shop. There aren't any aprons there, but we have other brands, and we will definitely let y'all know when the aprons come out.
Yes. And we look forward to seeing y'all virtually at NavCon.
Yes. So make sure you register.
Yes. Only 2 weeks away. And we have another happy hour in 2 weeks as well. That's going to be even more delicious sweet potato holiday themed recipes, as well as some trivia and a highlight of our activist training program, which is currently in session. So we have an amazing group of people who are going through our activist training program that we want to introduce you to because they're all over the country. So you may be able to connect with them in their work. So with that said, have an amazing Friday night, y'all.
Bye, y'all.
Bye, everybody.